If I could go back in time 5 years to when I first started saving money, this is exactly how I would do it. I've broken down saving into 5 easy sections to follow. Anyways, let's get started. Part 1 is to write down a goal. The key to being successful with saving money is to first have an outcome or a goal that you'll strive towards with your savings. Write down both your short-term and your long-term savings goals, and this is where you'll put your money towards. Short-term goals is money that you plan on spending in a couple months or even just a couple of years. So this could be saving for an emergency fund, a new car, a holiday, or just a new laptop for work. Whereas a long-term goal is money that you don't plan on touching or spending for many years. This could be saving for a down payment on a house, your retirement fund, or even just starting a new business. Your next step is to prioritize your savings goals. Most people will have a combination of many short-term and long-term savings goals, and we basically just have to list them from least to most important. Right off the bat, an emergency fund is most important. With an emergency fund, you should save at least 3 to 12 months of your living expenses. This is in case you come across an illness or you just can't work, and then you'll have a safety net where you can actually just take time off. The next most important, in my opinion, is retirement. And while it's a good 45 years away from me, I still think it's better to start earlier than later. So make sure you're always contributing a bit of your savings into your emergency and retirement fund, as I think that this is going to be pretty important for the majority of the population. The next savings priority is really up to you, and you kind of just have to weigh in with yourself what's most important to you at this stage of your life. Because like a 15-year-old will have a much different mindset around spending money as compared to someone who's 45 years old with a family. The reason why I included savings goals as probably the most important aspect of saving money is because it makes you so much more inclined to save for your goal quicker, and it's always just in the back of your mind when you make purchases. What I really like about savings goals is that it really makes you a lot more in tune with your finances and making more calculated decisions. So let's say that you go out in public and you're like, I want to buy this $150 pair of shoes. And then you think to yourself, wait, this $150 I'm spending on these shoes, while I want them, it's also going to be taking $150 away from my savings goal, which could have been an emergency fund or a holiday. And it really just makes you think about your purchases in the bigger picture of your savings goals. Now, this next section will help you achieve your goals a lot more quickly. And it is, part 2 is learning basic budgeting. The most basic and easiest form of budgeting, in my opinion, is the 50-30-20 rule, in which 50% of your budget goes towards your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to your savings or paying off debts. This is for after-tax income, so base this rule off that. So for 50% needs, this money goes towards your living expenses. Needs are things we must have to survive, such as food, water, and shelter. And this also includes housing, like mortgage or rent, utilities, like water, gas, and electricity bills, groceries, health insurance, transportation, like your car and petrol or public transportation costs, and phone plans. For 30% wants, this money can go to basically whatever you'd like. Wants are desires for goods, services, and other things we would like to have, but do not necessarily need. So this could be added expenses like clothing, dining out, entertainment, travel, monthly subscriptions, or new electronics. Again, wants are goods and services that aren't necessary to our survival. And finally, 20% of your money goes towards saving or paying off debt. This will vary from person to person, but put 20% of your savings to whichever sector you feel necessary, or even split between them. You could give 5% to retirement, 5% to an emergency fund, and 10% to a down payment. It really just depends on the person and which stage of life you're in. Or you could even dedicate the full amount to paying off debts, which I'd highly recommend if you have outstanding credit card debts. This is because there's just absolutely no point saving money if you have debt that's just eating through your savings with high interest rates. Also, keep in mind that the 50-30-20 rules percentages can be changed to your liking. For example, I still live at home with my parents, so I don't pay for rent or utilities. So my percentages could be like 20% needs, 30% wants, and 50% savings. As I've mentioned, it's going to be a different percentage for everyone, but try to keep the base number for saving at least 20%. Part 3 is to learn these money saving tips. Now that you've learned how to set goals and how to budget your money efficiently, I'd next learn some easy and efficient money saving methods. These methods are super easy to implement and are perfect for beginners. Number 1 is to divide the cost by your hourly rate. Basically, just divide the cost of a product or service by your hourly rate at your work. So if a new iPhone costs you $1,000 and you make $15 an hour at your work, you basically just do 1,000 divided by 15. This shows us that the iPhone that you want to buy is going to cost you nearly 67 hours of work to pay for it. It also changes your perspective on how you spend your money, because now you look at products and services as hours worked instead of just a random figure of money. Number 2 is to automate your savings. If you're forgetful with saving money, automating your savings accounts is the easiest way to stay on track with your money. All you have to do is set up a recurring transfer every week or month, whichever suits you best, and put that money into a savings account. This way, you won't forget to save money, and it's done without even having to lift a finger. Savings tip number 3 is to round up your spending. Some banks will also allow you to round up your spending, and it's another way to save money without doing any extra work. So one of my accounts work like this. Every time I make a purchase, it rounds up the purchase to the nearest dollar. So if I spend $2.25 on snacks, it'll round up to $3 and automatically save the 75 cents in a different account. While the figure is always under $1, it does add up to a lot over a long period of time. And also, it's just another good way to boost your savings accounts. Number 4 is don't keep up with the Joneses. This just refers to someone who buys things they can't afford to impress people, or basically just owning expensive objects like neighbors or friends to seem as important as them. This could refer to someone buying the newest phone every year on launch, the newest car, or just the newest tech gadgets. All I have to say is just don't fall into this trap, because it'll cost you a lot of money. You don't need the newest clothing pieces or the newest phone to be friends with people. And if you hang around with people who judge your worth on material possessions and not your personality, well, you should probably just tell them to get fucked. The final savings tip is to wait 24 or 48 hours before buying something. This final saving method is simple and it cuts out a lot of impractical impulse purchases. Basically, just wait on a purchase for 1 to 2 days before you actually commit to buying it. In this 1 to 2 days, you can actually think about the purchase more sensibly and decide in that time if you actually need the product or if it was just another impulse purchase. This is also why brands have flash sales, because it creates a sense of urgency to make a purchase and it compels people to buy things they don't need because, well, the sale won't last forever. Part 4 is don't cut out spending. It can't always be a really big imbalance of just save, save, save without any leeway of splurging or spending some of your money. This imbalance of saving without spending can lead to resentment with saving money, and it can easily make you fall off the bandwagon. Basically, you just need a healthy balance between saving and spending money. This is especially why I love the 50-30-20 budgeting rule, because it allows you to spend money on random items that you might not need, but it's factored into your budget. So if your friends are asking you to come see a movie with them, spend the $10 on the ticket and go see it with them. Or if you're out with lunch with your family, splurge and buy some drinks and treat yourself to one of the higher priced items. I can guarantee that as long as you're saving an appropriate amount each month, like 20%, you're allowed to spend on yourself too. Part 5 is mistakes happen. At the end of the day, we're human and mistakes will inevitably happen. Whether you slip up with your budget and spend too much money, or you just make an impulse purchase that costs too much, don't worry, we all make mistakes when it comes to finance. Instead of getting angry with yourself for making a mistake, be grateful that you identified the issue around the mistake and work on ways that prevent it from happening again. That's all you can do, and as I've mentioned in other videos, saving money is a life skill, much like cooking, and I can't imagine you're a great cook when you first entered the kitchen. So don't be so hard on yourself. So basically just practice, 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 and you'll eventually become really good at saving money and just being in tune with your finances. Anyways, I hope this was super helpful if you're a beginner or even just a well-seasoned money saver looking for new tips. As I mentioned, saving money is a skill, and if you look to improve that skill just 1% every day, you'll see a drastic difference within a year's time. Anyways, I've recently created a video on some bad money habits that are keeping you poor, and you can watch that video right here.